Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast. He's like, I don't have money. Buys $300 of alcohol.
If you start pitching for the alcohol for this show and don't just make me buy it, then we can talk about upgrading the equipment.
That's not how it goes. I buy the Jack Daniels. And then you buy that.
Hey guys and girl. We are, this is episode 109 of Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business topics, both sober and drunk, to see if we come to the same conclusions. This week's episode, Tyler lectures me about being fiscally irresponsible, even though I'm significantly more fiscally responsible than he is.
Not untrue. Willows has been complaining about his depleted liquor cabinet for like
10 episodes, maybe more.
Let me just say like 6 months. We've been like on the bleeding edge of running out of liquor for like 6 months straight, but it just never runs out. And I've constantly been bringing in like random bottles. We've appropriated liquor from places that didn't need it anymore. So we haven't needed to buy anything. And then I walk in today and there's fucking so many look on the Instagram, you'll see how many bottles there be.
I reloaded.
There's liquor.
Yeah, I reloaded the cabinet. So I bought a gin and a tequila and a cognac and a brandy and a whiskey and some Pink Whitney and
that's really good.
A couple other things. So we're drinking some cognac today, some Courvoisier. I don't have a lot of knowledge about this.
It tastes fucking good is what it is.
I just know there's a Busta Rhymes song called Pasta Courvoisier. Pasta Courvoisier. It's fine. I think it's so Hennessy is like the most overrated goddamn drink. Like Hennessy's not very good.
I mean, I've had like the nicer Hennessy, like the regular Hennessy is whatever, but the nicer Hennessy is good. But again, it's expensive as shit.
It's like so expensive for what it is, and I think it just got popular because of like that damn rap music.
That damn rap music.
Before gangster rap, Compton was a preserve for bunny rabbits. So here's a good one. I'm going to this event on Easter weekend. Like my winery is going. We're selling wine there, so it's called Hoppy Days, right?
Wow.
And I've known about this event for weeks, and until today, because I was like, I don't really know like what it is or like what we're doing. Like I don't get the hoppy thing. Like, is it a beer thing? And my business partner Zach's like bunny hopping, and I literally just froze. And I'm like, oh, I literally did not put together. I even like emailed them back. I'm like, are you sure? You know that's Easter weekend, right? We're having an event then. They're like, yep, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. That's weird to have some weird beer event on Easter weekend. No, it's an Easter event. I literally.
You don't have any context in your universe outside of
alcohol.
Yeah,
which
like alcohol,
it was kind of like, now that I'm saying it out loud, I kind of like, I'm worried.
Easter's for drinking, obviously.
Like, I make jokes about being like an alcoholic, right? but it's weird when it's like in my own subconscious.
But you're also in the liquor industry doing events like Hoppy Days. Like I assumed beer as well.
Yeah, because I'm like, but
like that's dumb, but okay.
Well, also like what's with the Easter rabbit? I don't get it.
I can tell you, it's not a Christian holiday. Pagan as shit. I'm just imagining Donnie Darko fucking putting together like Easter eggs in a house. All the Easter symbolism is just about fertility and fucking, basically.
Ooh.
Like
that was the
all
nickname
the Easter shit. So
of my band.
Fertility fucking?
Anyway, so business wise.
Uh-huh. Is there a question? Are you curious about Hoppy Days?
I'm curious. No.
Business idea.
You know, so when I started into the wine business, I was like naming each different wine that we made, like something trying to be creative.
Right.
And now I've like come back on that and I don't name the wines anymore. Now they're just like 2021 rosé wine
Right.
or raspberry wine. I don't name them anymore. And because that was something that just happened because there was no other wineries in my province's history, so I had no one to copy. And I was copying craft beer,
Right.
where they come up with like some stupid
Names.
name for every beer.
Yeah.
And like, how much of a menace would I be if I was naming a new shitty craft beer every week? Like, it'd be like Bob's Burgers doing the burger of the day. Like, I'd just be coming up with the worst puns ever.
Yeah.
Like Hoppy
You mean
Days.
like if you owned your own brewery?
Craft brewery, yeah.
And you're
Like,
doing like casks and stuff.
because like Hoppy Days, that could be a beer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think you would have been along the realm of that Halifax spot we went to with Fat Black Jesus.
Fat Black Jesus. Yeah.
And yeah, just
Shout out that place.
it's so memorable. I can't forget it.
We
I
walked
think about
in.
it all the time.
We walked in, and they have a big poster on the wall that says "Fuck off, this place sucks."
Yeah, it's everything you ever wanted.
It was a good vibe. I like. We were there in the middle of the day, and it was full. Like,
Yeah, brilliant.
yeah, it was fun.
So apparently fucking this is super local. Nobody cares, but DJ Blitz like lives in Halifax now.
Yeah,
And is just at like house parties and partying with like young college chicks, presumably. Like I don't know. It looks like he's having a great time. He's like, fucking Halifax is a lot of fun.
I might censor the name you just
No,
said,
that's like
but
he's got a shitload of followers, and there's none of this is fucking private. He posts this all on his like social media and stories, whatever. But he was a big figure in Winnipeg.
He was a big figure in Winnipeg,
and now he's fucking gone apparently.
Well, allegedly, it was because he was like hitting up minors.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of had to leave because if he wanted to be a public figure, he'd kind of have to not
Interesting.
DM 16-year-old girls. Allegedly.
He's kept all his branding though. Like his social media stayed the same. Like, so I guess you want to keep that, but I don't know. Just thought it was kind of weird. It's all of a sudden he's there.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah,
okay.
he's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
Since COVID, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's an interesting, like, that happens a lot in different industries where people just like slightly change their name and then move to another city and then have like the same business model somewhere else.
Totally fine.
Kind of like we were talking about last week with the construction guy that was like just fucking up, and then
yeah, I mean that's just how things used to be. Like you just
the
change
Carney method, I call it, where you pick up and move towns.
You didn't even have to used to move town. Like you just fucking change your name in the yellow pages and you're a new man. Like you're a new business, you're a new identity, you're a new brand. Like it's just fucking wipe it off the map, and you can't find the old one unless you walk down to the company's office and start getting creative. Like
yeah, now it's a little bit different with like social media and like people know what you look like and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast that actually talking about how like even like socially transitioning genders is a lot bigger deal now than it used to be, because now we have like all these IDs, and like they didn't even used to have like driver's licenses with like your gender or sex on it. Like it was just like it wasn't a thing. So you didn't have to get like all this paperwork change. It was just like you are you as a person. There's like a picture in your name, that's it. And it's like, okay. And now it's everything is just getting documented. It's like now if you like want to socially transition or change your name or like make any change or change your branding, it's like, fuck, now I got to go through all this work. There's so many documents, there's social media profiles, there's I forgot about my fucking
change
LinkedIn.
your shirts from blue to pink.
Right. Yeah, that's the hardest part, honestly.
That is, honestly.
Yeah. You get the detergent's different.
Laundry sauce?
Yeah, the laundry sauce. Actual thing I wanted to talk about, unless you're totally on to that.
Is this going to be a business topic?
Sort of, yeah. Actually.
Okay, let's go. I'm really trying to keep us focused here.
I know. It's the intersection of the two. It's a business and politic, and also personal freedoms, as they say. Are you up to speed on all the TikTok grillings by Congress?
I watched some clips, ironically, on TikTok.
Okay. I'm sure that was well representative of the whole process.
Well, I'm
sure they were throwing lots of shade.
It's just it reminds me of when they were grilling Zuckerberg, and they
It wasn't
didn't-
that bad.
and they didn't have a basic understanding of how the internet worked.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally like you had senators being up there being like, Mr. Zuckerberg, you're telling us this app is free? Then how do y'all make so much money?
Right.
Gotcha!
Right.
And then it's like, what are you talking about? And then so I saw a clip of the TikTok one that was like, does TikTok have access to people's Wi-Fi? And he's like, yeah, you connected to the Wi-Fi. It's like, aha! Like, and it's like, what are you talking? Like,
Yeah.
is this, they, like, these boomers, senators just don't have a basic understanding of like how
Yeah.
the internet works, and they're grilling like an internet company.
Well, while most of those people are incompetent, some of them are competent, and you can't forget that, because the competent ones that are actually making the fucking moves are not going to stand up there and make themselves look stupid by asking a question that maybe goes awry. Like, it's the senators that just need FaceTime on TV that go up and ask their stupid questions. Their questions have nothing to do with like the bill that's being introduced, and that's like the seriousness of it, I guess. Now that the actual bill has been tabled and people are, obviously have access to it once it's been tabled and people are reading through it. And it's like, this is basically the Patriot Act all over again, but now hitting social media. And so basically they're like modernizing the Patriot Act for the current ecosystem of apps and shit, which is pretty scary. And
so what do you think about, like, what's the contention? Because we all know that the internet apps spy on us, right?
the contention is
They're Chinese.
the U.S. wants to do all the spying, and they don't want to let China do the
That's
spying.
what I was gonna say. Is like, because
It's not a personal. See, they're framing it as like this is for your personal privacy. As a very shrewd journalist pointed out, if this was about personal privacy, they would be talking about regulating social media. But instead, they're talking about TikTok specifically, which tells you everything you need to know, and it's completely bipartisan. They're both equally zealous about this.
yeah,
Which tells you one thing, that it's got to be something to do with, increasing state power. Otherwise, there's no reason they'd get on board, because they are not on the same fucking page when it comes to personal privacy, right? Democrats and Republicans are not on the same page. So it's not about that. So if they're telling you it's for your personal privacy, that's obviously a red herring.
I just don't
So
like.
it's about TikTok specifically. So
I
what does
don't
that tell you?
Like, how can you possibly expect capitalism to like survive if they're like, because like, okay, you're the little kid that's like, you're teaching them like capitalism's great, you can just start a business and become a billionaire, right? And you're teaching this to kids and whatever, right? But then they see real world examples that if your business gets too big and successful, the government will shut you down. It's like, how am I supposed to aspire to anything under capitalism? Is if my app is on everyone's device, they're just going to be like, nope, can't do that anymore. Right? It's like,
Well, you're thinking almost too big here. All the people that are building brands on TikTok, all the people that depend on TikTok.
that's kind of what I was thinking too.
That's a big deal.
Because like, I like using TikTok for my winery and for my stock trading stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a cool little app. It's significantly better interface wise, in my opinion, than Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
Like, I'll actually make TikToks on TikTok, or like I'll edit them on my computer, but I'll upload them to TikTok, have TikTok do all the closed captioning and stuff and the color correction and like whatever, and then save that video and then re-upload it to Reels.
I think a lot of people do that.
Because the interface, they just got it right on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, so, and then do you see what Elon's doing with Twitter as well?
No.
So right now, when you scroll in your Twitter feed, there's like, it's like mainly people you follow.
Yeah.
But then it also is like related tweets. Like,
Right.
you might like, they used to call it like, it used to be like tweeters that you follow also follow this person or something. Now they call it something else.
Right.
But now no one else will pop up in that unless they're verified.
Right.
So now it's like, I can't discover new accounts to follow unless they pay for verification.
Yeah, and this is all what do they call it? Legacy verified accounts don't count.
Yeah, but
They're also at the same time removing all legacy verified checks on all accounts.
So That's like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I
Most of, like, I'm usually a pretty big half ironic, half unironic Elon stan, but everything he's done with Twitter has been bad, except buying it I think is funny.
Did you hear about the recent, like, I don't know if it was like an internal email or internal communication in regards to, I guess, shareholders within the company about about like being able to buy more shares, whatever. Basically, he shared the share price and the fact that they were selling some shares.
Oh yeah, it was like half, like $20 billion valuation
And
or
yes,
something.
self-admitted half of what he purchased it at.
Which is like, that's fine, I think. Like, it's a tech company. Like, he bought it in a unprecedented bull run. Like,
Well,
I get it.
He bought it for too much.
But you're gonna pay a premium. They wouldn't have sold for $20 billion.
No, but even with the corrected valuation of what he probably should have paid for it, it's still probably down 30%.
Yeah, but like, so is
Maybe
everybody
more.
right now.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I don't know.
yeah,
That one doesn't bug me as much.
Yeah.
Talk to me again in 10 years, and we'll see.
Yeah.
Because then people will be like, "Oh, he's such a genius. He fucking bought this company. Now it's worth $100 billion, right?" Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about that afterwards. That doesn't
Because
really.
Meta's coming out with a Twitter competitor soon, right?
But remember, Meta's also 80% down from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, so you gotta like put everything in context.
That's a headwind for Twitter, not a tailwind for Meta, is what I mean.
Yeah, you're yeah.
Especially if it's
But
good.
everything, like most of the verification shit that he's doing, I don't agree. Like, I don't think it's better. It's made Twitter better. The paying for verification and shit, I think has cheapened a lot of it.
I mean, he's apparently eliminated most of his user base, which was all bots. So if it comes out on the other side and it's way better than it used to be,
I'm finding that my personal interaction at the moment is more or less the same.
Yeah.
But with all this like changing to my timeline and stuff, it might be a little bit different.
Right.
But so we'll see. But I did like that he laid off like 80% of the staff and the site still works. It's like, what were these people doing? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I like, you see those TikToks of those like, come with me on a day at Twitter HQ, and then it's like, I roll out of bed at 9 a.m. and go to the gym, and then go to the like hot breakfast bar and get my breakfast, sit down on my desk at 11:30, and then send an email, and then go up on the roof to drink some champagne. And it's like, okay,
I mean,
guys.
there's got to be an in between that and you work all night, all weekend. You got to put a cot in your office. Like, which is where he's pushing it. Like, there's an in between there that's appropriate.
Probably. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I can only talk from my personal user experience as like a pretty avid Twitter user for years. It's basically the same right now.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like the verification system.
Yeah.
Because that used to be like, they've kind of fixed the whole where people like fake verified themselves as like celebrities. They've pretty much fixed that now, but it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why is he verified? Right? Like, because now I'll see people on Twitter and they're verified. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he verified? And I go and he's like 300 followers. And I'm like, oh,
right.
Like, he shouldn't be verified. Right.
Yeah.
And I have to click in to see if they're a Twitter Blue subscriber or whatever.
Right.
Maybe because I know they're making it different colors now. Like, I know like an organization is like a yellow check mark and a government is like a different check mark. So maybe if they did that for like Twitter Blue subs and like people of note.
Right. As they should. Yeah.
And I don't mind the, like, most people that are verified can afford the fucking $7.
Yeah.
Like, the only people that I've heard that were verified that lost their verification because they don't want to pay it are mainly, like, small journalists, like local journalists. Because that used to be an easy, like, even if you had like 100 followers, if you could prove that you were an actual journalist working for like a newspaper or whatever, you could get a verification.
Well, now they're just getting watered down, basically.
Exactly. And now you can't even see their shit in your feed anymore unless they're paying. Mm-hmm. Unless you follow them. Right?
Yeah.
So that thing hasn't rolled out yet. That's rolling out like next week.
Yeah.
So I'll make another judgment then.
Yeah.
But I personally think it's going to make my user experience worse.
Possibly.
But also, like, Twitter might not be made for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who's his ideal customer, right?
Yeah, that's a good question, and especially the I think elections of next fall is going to be the big thing because like Meta fucking dropped the ball hard when it came to election interference and bots posting there, but Twitter also did really badly with their bots populating your fucking newsfeed with crazy shit.
See, I was gonna say, Meta's business model doesn't take money from the users; it takes money from advertisers and businesses.
Yeah.
Twitter, he's trying to do the opposite.
Right.
Where he's trying to monetize the actual users.
But is also taking money from businesses. It's not a feasible business just to
do advertisers?
No.
Oh, yeah, because Twitter has never made money, right?
Yeah, and they're making even less now.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. Like, he's looking at, I think, more than $1 billion shortfall just on cash. But like, even with cutting all the staff, he's still more
this
than
is not ridiculous though for big tech companies. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, like, Twitter was cash flowing.
But Twitter also, it's the equivalent of Bezos buying the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah,
it's basically like Elon's buying himself a platform.
Yeah, sort of.
I don't know. I have no fundamental problems with him buying it.
I mean, I don't think it makes much of a difference because if there's going to be government plants, if there's going to be whatever, they're going to exist in there regardless.
Yeah.
And they exist in every company anyways, regardless of the ownership structure, because all you need is one employee in the building to compromise it.
I have noticed, though, my bot experience on Twitter is significantly lower. Yeah. I get like no interactions from bots anymore.
Yeah.
I used to, because I like on my investing Twitter, I would talk about crypto every so often.
Yeah.
As soon as you say Ethereum, you get 5,000 bots responding.
Yeah.
Or it's like if you said, I know follow some girls that would make a joke and be like, I need a sugar daddy. Immediately 1,000 bots being like DM, 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 DM.
Right.
Different words. Or if you use the word mushroom, bunch of bots trying to sell you mushrooms online would that's a lot of that's fixed.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'll say that, and then that coincides with I get so many more bot interactions on Instagram now.
Yeah,
that I never had before. Facebook's always I probably get like 5 friend requests a week of like big titty.
Meta's doing nothing about it. Like it's shit. Like for how big of a company they are terrible at this.
I think most of those like get deleted in a week though.
Yeah, but still, you still get bombarded by them in the meantime.
Yeah. I like that because here's a fact that I used to use. I don't care about it anymore, but when I was 18 and trying to start a business and trying to legitimize myself.
Yeah.
On Facebook, if you just leave the friend request in your inbox, they follow you.
Right.
So it increases your Facebook followers.
Right.
So there's a social media tip for you.
I don't think they've changed that.
I don't think they've changed it either. And I think it's still happening. But I used to do that on purpose. Now I just don't care. But back in the day, I'm like, I wanted my following to be bigger. So that's a way to kind of artificially, because followers are clout, and you may not like it, but that's how it works.
Yeah, so I wanted to read, it's a Twitter thread, and granted, it is just a Twitter thread, but all this stuff is easily verifiable.
Not by us, though. We will not be verifying anything.
No, fuck that. Why would we? This is all public information, so whatever. Fact check us and put it in the comments. Not that we'll read them. I
will read them.
Okay, anyway, so like I was saying, this is like the new version of the Patriot Act. And I'll just quickly buzz through the thread here. Basically, it starts out by saying, well, the mask is off if it was ever really on. As I predicted, the TikTok ban has evolved to blatant censorship of the internet. Let's talk about it. Big rant incoming, but if you enjoy continuing to have any kind of semblance of personal freedom, you're going to want to listen to this. And this is like, this is leftist Twitter. This is, just to be clear. So Bill 686, known as the Restrict Bill, aka TikTok ban, can be read in full at govtrack.us/congress/whatever bills. However, I intend to summarize the most significant parts if you bear with me for a moment. First off, this bill will ban the use of hardware such as, this is the important part, this bill will ban the use of hardware such as modems, routers, home cameras, etc., and any virtual tech, such as VPNs, if they are manufactured by or used to contact and deal with, quote, foreign adversaries. So, important context for this bill is the Biden administration wanted to just ban TikTok, but they realized they didn't have any mechanisms in government to ban a social media platform because none of the laws were written even in a time when social media platforms were a thing or apps or whatever. So this law is not being written to just specifically ban TikTok. It is being written broadly enough that they can ban any app, or they can go through the further.
What if they ban Truth Social?
Right. Well, I think it's mostly geared toward any foreign-owned companies, which, I mean, technically Meta is Denmark, right?
Republic of Ireland.
Right. Okay, so keep that in mind. So
I think most of the VPNs you use are fucking based in Malta
Right.
or whatever, right?
Yeah. Note that while a summative list of, quote, foreign adversaries is given in the bill, it is subject to change at any time without warning. Great. This bill will make the use of VPNs to bypass bans on apps and content such as TikTok a criminal act, punishable by minimum imprisonment of maximum imprisonment of 20 years. And no, it says minimum? That's got to be a mistake. It says minimum imprisonment of 20 years and minimum fine $250,000 or $1 million, depending on whether you knowingly did so for the explicit purpose of accessing banned content.
So 20 years in jail for accidentally doing it.
Up to more than it says minimum. I'm assuming that is supposed to be maximum, but if not, based. The bill gives the federal government the power to access and monitor any activity from suspected devices, virtual or otherwise, without telling anyone. This essentially gives them power to spy on you without your knowledge or consent, monitoring you at all times. They were already doing this, but they're just like formalizing the process, I suppose. This includes, routers, modems, online video games, streaming apps, social media, Ring cameras, and other home camera systems, smart thermostats, literally anything that makes the use of the internet can be used. The method by which this will be done, the president appointing a secretary of communication who forms their own independent group without any votes or democratic selection, great, and that group can then make decisions behind closed doors without disclosing anything whatsoever. Awesome. Decisions banning whatever they deem to be inappropriate or threatening content or otherwise deemed a threat to national security at any time. Without disclosure or any voter input. Without disclosure, they can ban whatever the fuck they want. If this doesn't freak you out, think about the fact that Trump will soon be in charge of this.
Or DeSantis.
Worse.
Meatball Ron.
Meatball Ron is coming for your shit. And remember, accessing said content would be a crime under this bill, which they could, they can watch you, catch you in the act of accessing banned content that was banned behind closed doors without disclosure or discussion, and you can be thrown in prison and fined for something. God, that's what's in the letter of the law. Like that, not saying that's what's going to happen, but that's what's in the fucking letter of the fucking law. If this passes, they can literally go through your text messages, email, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, private messages on any social media, anything that uses the internet. They can censor it and prosecute anyone that obeys these restrictions that are decided by them behind closed doors. In summation, this bill effectively bans anything at all the government deems inappropriate for whatever reason, very fast, without warning, without voter input, and further allows the government to spy on you directly through anything that makes use of the internet 24/7. It is without exaggeration one of the most horrid and genuine threats to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and the overall rights and freedoms of Americans everywhere, especially the right to privacy. Everyone should be thoroughly invested in shooting this bill down, as it could result in the breaking up of the mass communication methods, targeted suppression of minority groups, and immediate quashing of any dissent in any form, wherever it may be, and a true totalitarian information state. It is the biggest step towards the worst case scenario. If you have time, contact your representative, blah, 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 share the shit. So when I said the red herring was the grilling, that's what I fucking meant. It is irrelevant to what's happening that they're going to be banning fucking TikTok. Holy shit.
Well, I'll drink to that, pal. The fall of the American Empire. Well, and that's the thing is, no one's gonna care. This is gonna pass, and no one's gonna even think about it. Just like the Patriot
This
Act.
post on one of my favorite pages was already buried 6 deep. I had to go looking for it. And you know why? Because I had it on my phone, and then what did my feed do as soon as I opened my phone? It refreshed, and I lost it.
Yeah.
If I didn't remember the page that it was on, I couldn't have even found this thread again.
Well, on that cheery note, we'll transition here into the part of the show that you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take. This episode shot is sponsored by Old Smoky, one of our favorite sponsors here. This is their new flavor called Salted Caramel, which we had their Salted Watermelon, and I liked it more than Tyler liked it.
Yeah.
I like it because it's weird. I like the weird shot. So this is
but the watermelon tasted too. Like I wanted more like real watermelon
Yeah,
flavor.
no,
it was
super
like
fake.
It was like the super
Yeah.
fake candy
So,
watermelon, which
we'll
I guess is what people think watermelon tastes like.
So we'll see what this salted caramel, but this is like a much more standard. Like I've had salted caramel whiskey before.
Yeah, I want something fucked up.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Old Smoky, for sponsoring this episode.
That's pretty good. That tastes like a caramel latte.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
The whiskey's a little bit harsh there. No, you're just dead inside. Here's the
Something's
thing.
wrong with your fucking throat, dude.
Here's the thing. I might have a problem. No, I think Old Smoky is bad tasting whiskey.
It's 60 proof, by the way, 30%.
I gotta cut that out because they're a sponsor, but it doesn't taste good, the whiskey, right? But the thing is,
I mean, probably not. If it's watered down to 30% and it still burns.
but the mango habanero version was so good because the burn of the habanero covered the entire burn of the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And my body was like, oh, we like pepper burn.
We like spice.
You know, so you drink it and you're like, oh, that wasn't even because like
That's why Fireball's so good.
the reason why, but Fireball is only 25%. Remember?
Yeah, that that shit should be 50%. Can you imagine just ass whiskey, just the worst whiskey covered with the
Cinnamon
Fireball
hearts.
cinnamon?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
man, if it wasn't dangerous enough already.
remember, the reason why you like cringe when you taste alcohol is because that's your body being like, this is a poison. Stop drinking it.
Right.
Like that's why you don't like the taste of fucking what is it? Carboyl acid. What is it? Car something. Carfentanil.
I don't know.
Cardboard.
Can we call a friend?
No, but there's anyway, camphor oil, right? I'm pretty sure that's what's in the that's what's in like alcohol. That's what gives it that taste. Anyway, but it's because it's a poison and it's killing you, and your body's like, please don't drink this anymore. And then we keep drinking it,
That's why it's so good.
and then we cover it up with good, better tasting things so that we can keep drinking the poison.
It's so good.
We are not a species meant to survive.
No.
But
yeah, What is your reaction to the thing I just read you? I mean, you made some faces, but like this is granted not happening
honestly-
in our country, but it inevitably will affect us.
honestly, I'm not surprised, and it's gonna pass. Like I'm so far past apathy now, where it's like the government's gonna government, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
To me, what's going to be the most upsetting thing about this entire thing, and like I had a hard time explaining this to a conservative friend of mine when they were asking like what my opinions were on like the trucker protest here in Canada, and my beef was I thought that their stance seemed like a little bit shaky in terms of like they're like specifically about we don't want lockdowns, we don't want mask mandates, mandate freedom, blah blah blah. I'm like, they didn't go far enough.
Well,
And also they didn't like, and
because they don't understand.
and the protest itself didn't go far enough.
They talk to these people, and they legitimately believe. Like I've talked to these people that actually think the country was great before Justin Trudeau became prime minister.
Right, that's it. Yeah,
Like they literally think.
they think it was great before then, and before
And
mask
then-
mandates, nothing was wrong.
And then if you get rid of them, things will go back to normal in quotations. Like they
Yeah.
actually think We don't live in this capitalist hellhole where Canada is 5 mining companies in a trench coat pretending to be a nice country. And they're like, no. It was Justin Trudeau and his fucking gay flags and his whatever. I don't know what he did. His like
what is the current hysteria around? Like, I'm still seeing, like the mandated freedom shit. I've gone every Jets game I've gone to, when the fucking freedom part of the anthem comes up, like 10 people boo, and I'm like, what freedom piece are people beefing about right now? Because honestly,
I thought we were done with that.
Like, this is active, this is current.
Okay, because
I
know
still happening, and like I've asked people that are like, you know, sympathetic to the movement and pay attention, and they're like, honestly, I have no fucking idea. And that's what upsets me the most, is because something like this happens and the reaction is half as severe as the reaction to something that I currently don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
it's so minor.
Yeah,
like there's stronger reaction to total fucking nonsense that somebody saw in a YouTube video, and none to this. Like all these people ranting about fucking freedom of speech and God bless America and make America great again and all that shit. There will be no reaction. There will be no resistance because there is unanimous Republican support, and the fucking chief propagandists at Fox News and Meatball Ron and Trump, no one's gonna have a problem with this, and therefore they don't have a problem with it because they just lick the boots and march behind the fucking leader, and they got no thoughts of their own between their fucking ears. Like, that's what upsets me about this. Not that you have a problem with freedom of speech. Like, it doesn't go far enough.
I'm apathetic because
like,
I know that
so
people.
Frustrating.
I know it is frustrating, but you have to get over that. Like, I know that
you've just given up.
Yeah. Well, no, here's my new strategy is like, you got to kind of play the game. Like, you can't will water to not be wet anymore, right? You can't be like, okay, you're stuck on a desert island, yeah?
Yeah.
You can't like will yourself to breathe water and then swim to safety. You'll die. You
got to build a shack. You got to make a raft.
Yeah, exactly. You got to like adapt and go around. So it's like the government's going to do this. You can't will the government to stop doing it.
The French would disagree.
But they're not going to win.
The French?
Yeah, so some things burn in the street and some people die and some people get hurt and some laws on the top get changed, but it's like nothing's going to happen. Maybe a president resigns, but like nothing's going to happen.
The specific thing that they were protesting does seem to be kicked off to the side or canceled, at least. Like there is some degree of, and the Israelis just did it too. I mean, theirs got kicked down the road.
Buddy just kind of like suspended all civil liberties and shit. Like, I don't know if you've been following that, but like, what's his name?
He's seated. He gave in to the protest for a quote-unquote 4-month period. So we'll see what happens.
Here's something, though, is that every time they say they've given into the protest, you can have that. There's 19 more things that they didn't give them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's negotiating 101.
Yeah.
You ask for something so ridiculous you're not going to get it, so that the middle ground seems more reasonable, and that's where you want it to go anyway. That's fucking negotiating 101.
Which is where this bill may end up, but it also might just get rammed through because it seems to be both sides of the aisle seem to be equally zealous about this act, and it's like
the TikTok one. The TikTok,
the TikTok ban is basically post 9/11 all over again. They've just manufactured not to say that TikTok wasn't like a valid threat or whatever in what it was.
Anyone who thinks that TikTok is spying on you, but fucking Apple's not, Google's not, fuck off.
Well, that's not the point. It's not about the fact that they're spying on you and the others aren't. It's that
but like to a voter though.
Yeah,
to the average person.
The way that I see like the U.S. government acting on this is like, well, even if China doesn't admit to using this data, even if TikTok says that they don't have access to this data, even if all these things, everyone still fully believes that the CCP could have access at any time, and probably already do, because it's based in that country. They're basically admitting that they have this access to all the American companies, and they use this information for intel and spying
so now
purposes.
America wants to use it.
But like America's basically saying we're doing this, and we know we're doing this, so therefore they must be.
Yeah, which they're right.
Which they're like, it's basically just fucking confessing it.
But like Apple has admitted that they just give your phone's data to the fucking FBI when they ask.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, and they assume that the same will happen with the CCP. If they want something bad enough, it will be given.
One of my favorite counter arguments to this is like, okay, Dylan. Apologies if your name is Dylan. This is the name I'm going to use. Okay, Dylan, you go to fucking work so you can afford chewing tobacco and an 8-pack of Busch Light and come home and fucking drink in your wife beater and watch Netflix and then fall asleep. What the fuck do the Chinese want to spy on you for? They're not going to fucking learn anything from you.
I think my counterpoint to that is, well, true. Fuck Dylan. Number 2 is it's the meta data and the meta manipulation that I think is useful to them, because it's basically it's influencing votes for one, but that's like a very specific point in time where they get to like maybe nudge the needle one way or the other. But more relevant, the only way to destroy America is to rip it apart from the inside, to create divisive content and an app that's like highly addicting and gets people to, like, basically radicalizes people, wastes their time, fucking rots their brains. Like, if you could not have designed an app more effectively to hurt people's fucking minds, like, there's studies being done on, like, how TikTok specifically is extremely damaging to the psyche, and, like, it's affecting people's memories, it's affecting people's like obviously attention spans, and like it's creating mood disorders, it's creating like issues with hormones, because it's just like the way that you're getting bombarded with information, it's just hitting these fucking chemical centers in your brains. It's like the way that some video games are designed, is they design them with psychology in mind, and they're super effective at keeping you playing. And it's like this same technology that's being used on TikTok in the US, these algorithms are really fucking effective at getting you hooked on the platform, which is really good for TikTok. And yeah, they do not use those algorithms on their own people. Period. Those algorithms are not the same in China. They are not allowed to use those algorithms.
TikTok's algorithm in China promotes like kids doing science experiments, or like, you know, math, or
and it's
like
time limited. There's even
well, most Asian countries, you can't go, like I know Korea, you can't use the internet unless you're over 18 unrestricted, and like you have like 3 hours a day you're allowed to use the internet if you're a kid.
Yeah, Utah just passed a law actually that is the same thing.
Do you see this? My favorite. The only I don't really like, I don't care about politics anymore, but I just like how funny some of it is. And there was a Utah banned sexual content in books. Yeah. And they've been using it exclusively to get rid of like LGBT stuff.
They used it to get rid of the Rosa Parks autobiography.
Yeah, but now Parent Association is removing the Bible from their school.
They filed to,
because and then you just watch these lawmakers, the people that made the law, are like having to go in front of the courts, and the judges are like, well, yeah, it's kind of sexually explicit, and they're like, no. Like, and they're just like, they regret their whole lives.
One representative was like, this is a very unfunny joke, you fucking idiots, and everyone's like, what joke? Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, they've actually passed a law, one of the most ironically, Utah has passed one of the most progressive laws in the U.S. right now when it comes to social media, and they're banning kids off of social media basically without their parents' permission until they're 18, and giving parents full access to their social media accounts. Some people are arguing, being like, it shouldn't be 18, it should be more like 15 or 16.
I don't know how is that different than like your parents reading your diary? Like, it's an invasion of privacy.
That is exactly the analogy that was given, is it's an invasion of privacy. And also a lot of people have shitty parents, and this could go very poorly. Yeah. So it's like the age limit probably isn't 18. It should probably be more like
Well, I think it's
in my
13
personal
now,
opinion, would
right?
be like 12, 13.
Yeah.
Like, that would be about when you
So,
could maybe start handing
I don't-
responsibility over, but
Here, I have two strains of thought here. Number one,
I got
sorry,
it by accident.
I was about to take.
And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, we're gonna
I
take a
picked up my shot glass by accident to sip it.
We're gonna take a second shot here because if we take a shot that's under 40% on the show, then we take a second one. Thank you, Old Smoky,
this
for
part of the show.
sponsoring this episode.
Delicious.
Both those shots today, I like spilt a little bit on the side of my mouth.
Why?
I don't know. I like it not on purpose, obviously.
Shit
But I'm
happens.
like, I did it the second time, and I'm like, how did I do that again? The same way.
You got a hole in the side. You got one of those prank glasses where it just
Yeah.
leaks.
I have two thoughts with this. Is number one, whether a kid's sitting on TikTok and scrolling or a kid's sitting in the mud with a fucking stick. I don't think
They're in danger.
I don't think there's a healthy, like there's not, one isn't more healthy than the other to stimulate a kid's brain. Like I think you're stimulating a kid's brain. And like this is coming from me. Like I've had 13 years studying child psychology.
Okay.
I have a bachelor in behavioral psychology and a PhD in child studies. And they're so. Here's the thing with raising a kid, right? All you have to do, take the kid, take it outside, put it on the street corner, tell him to stay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go home. Come back a week later. If the kid's still there, you got yourself a stupid fucking kid. Then you just proceed from there. So
Proceed accordingly.
So that's how you raise a kid. But I don't know. I think there's just stimulating the kid's brain. Like I think like when we invented, you know, the ball on a stick. You like have the ball on a stick and you try to get in the cup.
Okay.
You have like a stick and a ball in a cup.
Right.
And you try to get the ball in the cup.
Right.
When they invented that, I bet people were like, "Oh, it's gonna overstimulate the dopamine receptors in people's brains."
I mean, probably not, but I get your point.
I don't know. I really don't.
It's always Armageddon.
I think this
These
like
newfangled
I
internet
think
things.
if you I've heard parents of being like, I'm going to take my kid off they won't have a fucking phone, they won't have internet until they're whatever 16.
Right.
I think you are severely hindering your child
Right.
by doing that. Like the amount of I'm so articulate because I was able to use a computer so young.
I
I
think
learned how to read from playing video games.
I don't think there's any I don't think there's any intelligent discourse around banning. I think what Europe is actually doing is they're basically putting the onus on the companies to say you need to measure and create guardrails around children's usage, what the kind of content that they are seeing, their usage behaviors, time, whatever, and you need to
I think that
design
should be
your
the parents' responsibility, not the fucking I don't know.
You think parents put their kid in front of the screen so they don't have to watch them. Like they're not watching
But then,
what their
like,
kid's watching.
Okay, but then like you had child locks on a TV.
Right.
Who's the first person to fucking figure
but
it out
how do
those
you
work?
what's the equivalent of a child lock on an algorithm?
Well, I guess just not letting them use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're trying to
Well, you
find
could put your,
a middle ground with that, and
you can put your maybe it's YouTube you can put in kids mode.
right. But
So it won't show you anything questionable.
right, but there's a difference between like a kids mode and well, for example, one thing that they're doing with a kids mode specifically is they're turning off autoplay. Simple
Okay.
as that. You have to manually click on the next video. Like
Okay.
autoplay and like the suggestion feeds have to be geared in a different way to account for better use or like more healthy usage on the kid's behalf. And they're just mandating that each company basically in their own way has to account for what is in the best interest of the kids, and they kind of like outline what is generally acceptable or the best practices, but those companies have to create those designs themselves. They're not making specific rules, but they're saying you have to measure this, and then there's like a council or a board that will review these processes and be like, hey, are you doing enough?
So here's my other I said I had two opinions on that. Number two being we fuck them kids.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them, whatever. Who cares? Let them watch TikTok. I don't give a shit. I really don't care. Kids are so dumb, and their parents are even dumber.
That's why you dedicated so much of your life to learning about them.
That's why I dedicated 13 years of my life. Oh yeah, I forgot about that bit. I don't know. I think the kids will be fine. I think we're really overestimating how our effect. It's like people really overestimating their effect on the earth.
Right.
The earth will shrug us off like a bad fucking cold and be fine.
Yeah.
Like the same thing with kids. I think
The
they'll
problem
be
is
fine.
not the earth. The problem is the state of our survival on said
Yeah,
earth.
exactly.
The
But,
earth
like,
will be fine.
well, that's the same thing. I think the kids will be fine. Like, dude, there were kids not too long ago that were growing up in a family of 27 with enough food for 4.
Yeah.
You know, and dying of diphtheria and fucking tending the horses and shit. And they were fine.
Also
like,
true.
You know, it worked out.
All these people that have been like, the good old days when you had twice as many kids as you need because
Yeah,
most of them don't make it.
And they lost their hands in a fucking farm accident in the
Yeah.
factory. You know, like, is TikTok really worse than that?
Well, I was just going to ask, what do you think broke the boomers? And it's probably their lack of initiation and understanding of technology and media and propaganda. The fact that it's a lot easier to just convince someone who has not been inundated with this stuff. Like, it's easier to scam. Like, it's just a thing. It's the way it is because they don't have that sixth sense of social media. Like, you can look at an account and within seconds understand whether it's a scam or not without really reading into it. You can just tell. In general, people can do that.
Yeah.
Or just like even seeing like an
evidently not.
icon and a username, and you can be like, that's spam, right?
Yeah.
And not like I'm just trying to imagine, like, what does this look like in 30 years? What does the raised on TikTok generation look like when they're
In charge.
not?
Well, no, they're not going to be in charge.
I was going to say they're not going to be in charge.
AI is going to be in charge.
AI is going to be in charge, but when they're the masses is what I
Yeah.
imagine. When the TikTok generation is the masses, are they going to be more easily manipulated or less? And I would say probably more easily manipulated because
I'm going to say less.
you are already autonomously consuming content, and I think it is going to get to the like I visualize Idiocracy,
Yeah.
where a guy wheels his fat ass down into his chair and watches TV, and TV just consists of a guy getting kicked in the balls repeatedly, and he just laughs, and everyone's like on the brink of death because no one's competent, and like all they can do is watch guy get kicked in balls, and everyone dies. Like, is that where this is going?
I'm gonna counter with, I would love to be able to laugh again and just watch. I have no dopamine left. Well, no, I have a little bit of dopamine. I have no serotonin left.
Right.
And I would love to be able to just watch man get kicked in nuts and feel happy again, because I haven't felt joy since I was 12 years old.
I'll send you a few pages.
No, but I don't find it funny, though. That's the problem. I wish I could just watch TikToks and feel happiness.
My favorite page that I've found recently that just posts hilarious fucking reels is it's just called loud.endings, and its description is endings that are loud. It's just reels that get
how is that different?
They just get cut off.
How is that different than perfectly cut screams?
It's basically the same thing.
Okay,
but
just
it's
a
like
perfectly cut screams ripoff.
But it's perfectly cut, but it's not just screams. It's like car accidents, fucking explosives, whatever, just perfectly cut off. It's great. It's great. That's just the funniest shit ever. So, I don't know what you need, but I am willing to sacrifice everything for a couple more yucks, including all my personal freedoms. So, sign up for TikTok.
You know what I need is some more of you to listen and subscribe to How Copy on This Point podcast. This has been episode 109 today. Is there anything, Tyler, now that we're sufficiently filled with cognac, that you have changed your mind on that we've talked about in the podcast?
I mean, I care a little bit less.
Yeah, that's what every time you talk to me, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of on China's side in this whole thing. Fuck them.
I think I told my mom half jokingly the other day the odds of me going to prison in my lifetime is not zero. And she was like quite upset about it. And then it turned into like an actual conversation as to why that might be the case. She thought I was like being kind of funny, or like, oh, I was gonna like, I was gonna like paintball some cop's car.
No,
or
I'm
whatever.
a political dissident.
No, that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm gonna be like a genuine threat to the state at one point, and I might be in prison for it.
Half
And
the shit we've said on this podcast is like
exactly,
under a slightly farther right government is definitely not okay.
especially
to
with
say.
this bill.
Literally. Like,
Yeah, this is about if these are the consequences for consuming banned content, what do you think it's going to be for
Creating banned
generating
content,
for
yeah.
creating banned content?
okay, but then we just got, because this bill's all about the internet.
Yeah.
Because it's like internet connected devices. We got to go back to fucking radio broadcasting,
I
and
was
they can't get us.
Thing is, fair.
I'm down to like have a pirate radio station. That'd be fun.
Fuck yeah, it's just more expensive equipment.
Yeah, but like
It's fine.
I'm rich as fuck.
Pirating.
Yeah.
We'll
3D print it, the radio equipment.
So, anyways, I'm explaining to my mom kind of what I meant, and kind of in this discussion, my girlfriend's mom was there as well, and she was just talking about how like fucking kids these days have ruined everything, and I was like, fucking excuse me? And I'm like, how could kids these days have ruined anything? First of all, they don't have any power. Second of all, they don't have any money. They can't even afford houses. They don't have cars. They hardly vote and pay attention. Nobody watches the news. They're all in their own fucking ecosystems, just talking to each other. How have they ruined anything? If anything, like, your generation has irreparably, catastrophically fucked us. And the fact that I might have to go into jail in my lifetime as a political dissident, like, that's standing up for some degree of principles. It's like, what the fuck have you done? All of this happened on your watch. When you were growing up, when you were of the age when you could have been a political dissident, when you could have stopped it before it got this far. Anybody could have, like, I'm talking like colloquially, collectively, a generation. I don't mean her specifically.
The royal you.
She didn't fucking know, but she's like, I was ignorant of all this shit. And I'm like, I don't have that fucking excuse. I don't have that excuse. I have the access to all the information. It is readily, easily available, and I'm well fucking versed on it. I don't have that as an excuse. I don't have any excuse except for I didn't want to. Like, that's why I might go to prison, Mom, is because there's a lot of valid fucking reasons. I just gotta pick a sword to fall on at this point, because otherwise, what the fuck? I guess we just sit and take it on the chin, take it in the ass, or whatever. Like, you're fucked. It's fucked. Everything's fucked. And the cognac's great. So that's how I feel about things. And this bill just is like a nice little boop cherry on top. Nice little progression over the cliff. Because when shit gets harder, the government will too. That's just how it is. So, buck up, kids. It's about to get rocky. That's how I feel.
Follow us, Alcohol Beyond This Point, on Instagram, Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook. Willows, Tyler is over there as well. If you're not depressed after listening to us talk, I don't know why anyone would ever listen to this. I have this whole...
Get woke!
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.